One of the most controversial games in recent memory is Battlefield 2042. I remember being so excited for this game and then so let down by how it was at launch. Now, granted, it has gotten a little bit better over time, and the player base is definitely starting to come back for the most part. However, I don't know if it necessarily makes up for the way the game launched, and I think everyone can kind of agree with that. I was scrolling through gaming news the other day, and I came across this article on GameRant.com, which link to this article will be in the description below, along with other socials you can follow me on, such as my Twitch channel, Twitter channel, TikTok, and of course, if you feel obligated to, go ahead and subscribe here on YouTube as well. There is some things that Battlefield 2042 did try borrowing from COD that I don't think necessarily worked out so well, such as the specialist system. I know at launch this is pretty controversial, but they have since reversed it. I mean, the class system is back now, and I think it definitely added a lot to the game. I definitely like the way how the proficiencies like affect your firearms and that sort of thing, to where if you're an assault class and you have an assault rifle, you get more magazines, that kind of thing. So it definitely makes the game more fun, in my opinion. This article kind of goes over some things that the next Battlefield game needs to do to kind of try to avoid future mess ups, I guess is what you can say. And looking through this article, you can see that it does bring up the specialist issue here. So scrolling through the article, it does mention that in order for Battlefield to succeed in the future, it doesn't need the specialist system. It really doesn't. It just needs to stick to the class system, and that is the niche that Battlefield has, and it's the niche that Battlefield can use to be successful in the future. The specialist system kind of flopped on its face, and it doesn't need it, which I agree with. I mean, I remember running the medic, I forget her name off the top of my head, but running the medic with an assault weapon and an ammo pouch, and I can essentially heal myself, give myself ammo, and also get points by reviving people with any weapon I want. I was essentially like one-man army. It was kind of overpowered. So but yeah, the specialist system needs to go away in the next Battlefield. There's rumors that it's not, unfortunately, but I hope those aren't true, and I hope they bring back the traditional class system like to its full potential, not just have the specialist system and iterate the class system into it. So which you could see here, too many individual characters just don't work in the Battlefield franchise, which I agree with. And then the other thing it brings up too is DICE and Battlefield don't need to include things like score streaks and kill streaks and that sort of thing, which I don't think there's any worry about that. They did try to kind of splice it in to Battlefield 5 when you had the squad points that could buy like the V2 missiles and V2 rockets and that sort of thing. But honestly, I kind of agree yet disagree with this, because I do think that those make the game kind of worth playing for and worth achieving. So if they brought those back, I wouldn't necessarily be mad about it. If they maybe brought back a couple more of them, like maybe you can have like I don't know, like bring back the V2 rockets or bring back maybe artillery strikes or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like they could be useful in Battlefield and add to the chaos, which should happen in a Battlefield game, you know. But anyway, I digress on that one. And, you know, the other part that it added was that the next Battlefield should just stick with what works, which I agree with this wholeheartedly. The next Battlefield game, whether it's a sequel to Battlefield 4, whether it takes place more into the future, like Battlefield 2143, or it goes back to like an older style, like Vietnam or something like that. Whichever style it goes back to, it really, really, really needs to stick with just works. Literally, DICE has the blueprint to what people want. A Battlefield 4 type game with updated mechanics such as a super run, maybe some slide canceling or sliding, and just make it a more modern Battlefield 4 with updated movement characteristics. Literally, that's all we need. If you had a game that had the same gun selection as Battlefield 4, with the same style of maps, the same style of destruction, the same style of class system, the game would be an instant success with, of course, updated graphics and updated mechanics like I mentioned before. I mean, literally, that's all they need to do for the next Battlefield game. So I hope that DICE really takes a long, hard work at the failed launch. I don't want to say Battlefield 2042 is a complete failure, but it was a failed launch. One of the biggest failures that DICE has ever had. So if they take a look at that, see what they did to screw up, maybe the next installments of Battlefield will be great.